Bueno, pues felicidades a todos los ponentes porque la verdad es que increíble cómo os habéis ajustado al tiempo y cómo tenemos la suerte de poder contar con esos últimos minutos para poder empezar bueno, pues alguna suerte de debate o de preguntas. Y la verdad es que, si me lo permites, Luis, y aprovechándome un poco de que estoy aquí arriba, pues no me resisto a empezar con una. Y es que Pilar nos decía esta mañana que el seguro de vida tenía un futuro prometedor, y lo cierto es que si somos capaces de implementar y desarrollar pues todo esto que hemos hablado esta mañana, sin duda lo tendremos. Lo que pasa es que no deja de ser un juego de malabarismos, porque hemos estado hablando de un entorno demográfico, regulatorio, financiero, de inversión que evoluciona. Estamos hablando de clientes cada vez más informados, sofisticados, que utilizan los medios sociales, que desean ser asesorados. Tenemos también necesidad de desarrollar productos más innovadores y que además son más complejos. Y aquí, Adriano, yo también me alineo contigo en tu comentario hacia Stephen. Yo iba a decir siempre, casi siempre estoy de acuerdo con Steve, es fascinante escucharle. Mi única discrepancia con él no va en el entorno de los productos, que yo creo que el comentario iba por ser un poco provocativo, sino que le digo cada vez que le veo que por favor ponga un poquito más de ropa a la enfermera del vídeo, porque como siga así yo creo que vamos a dejar de ponerlo en España. Pero bueno, esto ya es una opinión personal, por si alguna otra mujer como yo se siente más aludida. Pero hablábamos también de herramientas, ¿no?, de modelización, modelos predictivos, de tecnología, incluso las famosas pulseras, que bueno, lo próximo que tenemos que hacer este fin de semana es agenciarnos todos una, ¿no? Total, que las compañías estamos deseosas de innovar, de poner al cliente en el centro, de digitalizar, de acometer nuevas estrategias de inversión que nos permitan obtener mayores retornos. Y hablábamos de multicanalidad, y aquí llega mi pregunta, quizás más para Jean-François o para Adriano, porque lo cierto es que en España nuestro canal fundamental es el banco asegurador. Sorry. Yeah, in Spain, yeah, main channel in Spain is bancassurance, with also great presence of the traditional channel. Therefore, do you think that we have now the conditions to really make this channel ready to digest all this new model, since they are the ones that actually they are in contact with the final customer? My second question would be, what about new channels, digitalization? Is the life, because so far we thought that according to the statistics, the life customer gets or try to get information online, but at the end they buy offline. Is this going to change in the short term? And if it does, or even that, we have heard that we need to be able to give assessment online. Is this going to require well, important investments in a moment in which in all the companies we have a clear constraint with regard to the IT resources?
So lots of dimensions to the question. First, on multi-channel in bank assurance, I think bankers are much better at multi-channel development and approaches than insurance companies on the whole. So bank assurers actually usually across Europe better at multi-channel than traditional insurers. So I actually see bank assurers as leading the pack in terms of multi-channel capabilities. And when I look across Europe, be it in Italy or in France, where bank assurance is almost as big, or let's say more or less as big as in Spain, the leading multi-channel players are actually bank assurers. So I think they're either part of the multi-channel program of the bank, or even in some cases even leading the multi-channel program of the bank. So no real difficulty, I think. On the second question, much more complex, of would buying move online? And there's, I would say, across continental Europe, it's still as you described. So increasingly, clients looking online for information, maybe even doing a quote, but probably finalizing the process with some sort of either call center support or speaking to an advisor. So it's quite well established. When I look, but this is in a very stable regulatory environment. There are two countries where there's been something looking like IMD2 being implemented. That's the UK with the retail distribution review, and the Netherlands. I'm not sure I can pronounce the regulation, but it's more or less RDR-like. And the immediate effect, almost immediate effect of RDR is going digital big time. I was looking at the news just yesterday or the day before. Aviva introduced its execution-only platform, which is exactly doing that. Because for the most part, people, average people, will want to have information, will want to be to play with it, not so much willing to pay for the advice of selling a standard product. So the model of the Rente Plus in Germany is absolutely working in big time in the Netherlands and in the UK, and you've seen the balance of network changing in less than 2 years dramatically. So I think there's really no barrier to this change, and if the let's say IMD2 regulations end up being close to RDR, which I don't know, but current versions look quite a bit like RDR. I expect this to change dramatically, and actually we asked this to insurers about 2 years ago, and the answer was, yeah, if we have RDR, we will switch digital big time, because only a fraction of our client base, probably the most wealthy people, will be willing to buy advice and need a lot of advice. And the majority of our clients do need advice, but this is can be made simple to them. I like your way of simplifying the product. Yes, it can be made fairly simple and work quite well.
If I can add something on. I agree on everything you said. Maybe there is another element that we can take into account, and it's about how persuasion actually occurs. So, and the real question should be, can we be persuaded online? So, and I think that there is a little bit of confusion here, because of course we go into the iTunes store and we buy a whole album from Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA. Okay, that's true, but I have not been persuaded by Apple to buy this album. I have friends, or I listen to the radio, and then the Apple Store is just a tool, a place where I can go and actually buy the album. The same will be true with Amazon. So I'm not convinced by Amazon to buy a book. Maybe you would recommend buy this research on how clients buy things. Then I go on Amazon and I buy it on Amazon. But it's not Amazon who is persuading me. So who is persuading to buy life insurance? And to me, honestly, is still a human being for most of the parts. So sometimes we see people that go online and buy insurance, or because it's mandatory, so you have to buy car insurance, for example, in Italy. Otherwise, most of Italians wouldn't buy it, so we had to make it mandatory, because nothing happens to us, right? So I'm a good driver, nothing will happen to me. So we had to make it mandatory, and then you go and buy it online, true, but somebody else convinced you, and this was the law. Or in the UK, or in France even, they tell you that you need to have insurance to buy a mortgage. Oh, then, okay. And then you go online. But somebody else convinced you, or kind of forced you a little bit to look for insurance. And the reason is, to me, it's very simple, is that all this product like books or the Audi, I think most of us filled in the Audi contest, right? They are all based on pleasure. So they're all based on getting something out of the buying process. So we go out for dinner, and or we go Expedia to travel. It's all based on pleasure. And insurance is probably the only industry, I believe, I don't know if there is another one, who is based on pain. I know, we have a difficult job. So it's all based on you may die. You may get sick seriously. And your family will have a problem. And this is not an easy discussion to have online. So I still believe that unless there is a need that is almost mandatory and determined by the bank or the law, in order to be motivated to buy insurance, you need to have another human being that is able to sustain this emotional conversation and challenge you on what will happen to your family if you die, and do you want it to be like that, or you prefer to put aside a little part of your savings in order for a big amount of money just in case. And honestly, I still believe this can be done by agents, and agents should be actually the force that will lead the way. There are examples, that's the last comment I have, of companies. There is a good example of Sun Life in Canada through an online magazine called Brighter Life, and they are trying to do this online by creating, it's called content marketing technically. So what they do, they create a magazine where they write a lot of articles and have discussion with clients, and you mentioned this, having discussion with clients about their needs. Like, for example, do you need to buy a new house? You should be careful about these things. Are you going on vacation? You should be careful about these things. Do you want to invest your money in the complex way she was telling us? You need to be careful about these things. Or maybe she will write an article. So the online surfer goes there and find answer to his or her problem of daily life. And by the way, some of these issues are linked to insurance. What will happen if you died? These are the consequences. So in this case, probably this type of content marketing in the long term can convince people to actually buy insurance. But in the short term, I still think that the agents are the real force that can persuade the client to think and make them suffer a little bit of pain in order to save them or their family for a bad episode afterwards.
Thank you.
Muy bien. ¿Alguna pregunta en el público? Me dan los focos, con lo cual si alguien levanta la mano. Sí, te puedes levantar por favor y nos dices quién es.
Joe Kessler. I'm Joe Kessler. I have a question for Jan as relates to why we are not seizing the opportunities in the pension market. So first of all, thank you for explaining the gaps between Pillar 1, 2, and 3 and highlighting that to us. But I'm thinking back to Pilar's presentation this morning showing the low savings rate in Spain and highlighting a need to perhaps shape differently. And then quickly going online using my iPhone to check savings rates for France and Austria and other European countries, seeing that France and Austria seem to be at the top of the list. So from the European Commission standpoint, is it culture? Is it availability? Is it incentive? Why? Why aren't we seizing the opportunity?
I have a specific answer about Spain. Why is not Spain seizing the opportunities? What we have seen from our surveys in various member states, so on aggregate, is that a first major factor in the decision of policyholders not to take up Pillar 3 is a fiscal one, so it's a tax one. So the point is, okay, you are a policyholder, just as you described. You come and see someone, or you shop around online, and then you realize that you could all be better off getting another product because it's better tax-wise for you. So that's one thing. Another thing is the how risk adverse you are and how you compare your potential Pillar 3 product to what you already get from Pillar 1, from Pillar 2. So in that respect, I mean, that may also play a role. But overall, our idea behind this personal pension project is to encourage providers who are located in mature markets to come and start offering their products in other markets where it's underdeveloped right now. So to also have the supply side coming in the game and trying to incentivize, trying to advertise and to advise potential policyholders to develop their products. Because we have also seen that from the supply side, the situation is also fairly diverse. So you have providers who simply do not, they offer other products, other financial products, other savings products, but they don't go for the personal pension products because it's not very, very attractive, or they have a different business model. So if we can get those who do have a business model and who are personal pension specialists to come to, say, Spain or other countries and offer their products, that's also potentially a way to develop the market.
¿Más preguntas? No? Well, I have another one. No?
Good morning. My name is Rosa Di Capua from Mercer. My question is also for Ian. And this regarding the issue, I think we still have respect the mobility, labor mobility, because the European directive regarding portability, I think is still pending point, especially for Spain. I receive sometimes query from UK, from Ireland. I need to move my pension funds to Spain. I would like to know investment solution, and I have to say it's not possible according to our framework. Do you know if there is some kind of improvement or some potential evolution of this kind of solution for this problem?
So it depends on which type of pension we are talking. For the Pillar 1 pensions, there is not solution envisaged simply because it's a member state competence, and so we don't have a competence to act on that, unfortunately, I could say, in the case of cross-border. For Pillar 2, for occupational pensions in particular, this is right now being discussed. We are now discussing with Parliament. One of the ideas is to make easier what we call cross-border transfers. So if you have seen, some of you, the IOP2 text, it's Article 13 of the text. It's about transferring your pension, transferring members to another member state. So we try to create a procedure for that so that both supervisors talk to each other, and finally that the IOP, which is transferring, makes the transfer possible, because there are issues about that. We see the industry coming to us saying in particular, it's very tricky to get our member to approve the transfer. It takes a lot of time, and it's also very tricky to get both supervisors to agree in the transferring and receiving country to the transfer. So that's an issue, but we're working on that. And for personal pensions, for the potential project I talked about this morning, we also have this in mind, because that's the idea. So as I said, it doesn't only cover mobile workers, but it also addresses them. So for those who will work in Spain, Hungary, Austria over their careers, we want to make it easy as well, so that they keep their product with them, basically.
¿Más preguntas?
It's a question for Matilde. Taking into consideration, you have mentioned about the different asset portfolio in the Spanish, for the Spanish liabilities. You said we have only government bonds by 65%. And the rest of Europe is higher, is 10%. Do you see Spain going to the European model, so increasing this asset
I think the reason for, do you hear me? The main reason for Spanish insurer to be highly invested into their domestic govies is that over the last year you had very high rates in Spain, so that was a very big incentive to still being invested into your domestic government bonds. In the rest of Europe, what we've seen is that the question of reinvestment and diversify outside your domestic country has been there for more than 5 years. And in France, in Germany, in Germany, that's obvious. I mean, German insurers cannot be only invested into a German bond. German bond currently is below 1%. So since this morning, we've been talking only about client and what's the products of tomorrow. Products of tomorrow, when you're talking about life insurance, is your product offer and is the value that you will offer to your clients make sense compared to a simple savings product from banks and so on. So it will rely on the investment strategy that you will put in place and the return offers that you will be able to deliver to your clients. So it's not only, I would say, making sure that you have a nice return today and you are well solvent under Solvency II. The question is, in the next year, what will be the investment returns that you will be able to deliver to your clients? And what we see is that given interest rate expectation, bonus, so your domestic govies, will hardly be able to deliver this high return expectation from your market.
¿Alguna otra pregunta? So I have a question for you, Adriano. Because we were commenting that the consumer wants transparency, simple things, and what is shocking sometimes is that for instance, you put cancer on the product. So that is very strong and very, let's say, negative connotations. So what's your experience on the customer perceptions when you talk about these contingencies in a clear mode?
The experience is that, and rightly so, that the customer is scared and he buys the product. And it's much easier to it's much easier to scare a client specifically rather than generically. So something may happen to you is less powerful than you may got cancer and die. So the more specific the product, the better it works in terms of understanding and a little bit of joking, but also in terms of something that may happen to you. So we have found that that's not just in insurance, but everywhere, that the product, very specific product, have a higher response from the client, and we rather tend to have a whole panel of product that is confusing clients. I think that research has been made in supermarket as well. If you have too many choices, you don't buy. If you have less choices, paradoxically, you buy more of something that was already inside the largest choice. So the good thing about cancer product, and even more so female cancer product, that is working very well in many countries, is that you address something very specific. And I think that especially for female cancer product, I think the client actually feels that you are thinking about that specific person, that in this case a woman, with a very specific negative event that can happen, and I think it works very well. The problem is that if you look at the declining premium in the US, for example, and you look at the number of agents, the agent number is declining as well. So to me, the equation is pretty easy: more agents, more life insurance premium. So they are the engine that convince people to buy insurance. Mostly, of course, there is a part of the population that would like to go online without advice, but nobody thinks about these bad events on his own. So we need somebody else that reminds us and challenges them. The more specific the challenge, the better the response.
Okay, thank you. ¿Alguna pregunta más? Yo creo que con esto podemos cerrar. A tiempo, ¿eh? Ha sido muy bien. Pues thank you very much, all of you, for your presentations. And I think now it's time for lunch.